Well, I'm going to say welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. We normally save talk about the hat till the end of the show, but know. I don't know if we can go any further in this conversation without addressing this atrocity on your head.
Hey, look, the Green Bay Packers are a great team, and they actually win Super Bowls on occasion.
Oh, yeah,
You
you're
know,
gonna go there, aren't you?
you know what you call a Minnesota player with a Super Bowl ring?
Extinct, non-existent.
A thief.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. I am working in DC and I've been like typing away and getting this episode ready and he
and I'm
joined the
not,
call and I looked over and I said, what the hell is that? The
I'm not
big
shopping. I'm not for shopping for hats while you're. Actually, this hat was given to me just for the pure sake of harassing you.
Really? Is
Oh
that the
yeah,
truth?
from a true Green Bay Packer fan. I don't know if I should say her name or not, but she taught school in Big Sandy, so anybody that's familiar with that would know who it is right now.
And she said, wear this on a future
She
episode.
she said, "Here's a nice hat to wear, and oh, by the way, here's a question you can ask her." That's what they said.
What's
So,
the question?
what do you call a Vikings
Oh,
player with a Super Bowl
okay,
ring?
okay, okay. That's funny. Boy, first we get the email from your childhood friend Steve from Big Sandy
Yeah,
telling me why Big Sandy's better than St. Louis Park, Minnesota, and now you're
yeah,
wearing a Green Bay hat.
from Pam Bolt. From Pam Bolt. Yeah.
This is rough, but thanks, Pam. I actually do have some respect for the Packers as an organization. Okay, so here's the deal. We are on episode 55 of our podcast. Can you believe that?
Double nickel. It's good.
That's incredible. Um, You are home in Big Sandy. I'm in Washington, D.C. We have a really great episode for you tonight. We're doing this at night because that is the only time we could make it work today with Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. She won a special election more than 2 weeks ago, actually succeeding her father, who passed away earlier this year. She has not been sworn in yet. And a lot of critics say this has to do with Jeffrey Epstein. So we are going to get into this with her in this episode. It's a fascinating story to follow the bouncing ball here.
Well, I think it's more than just the critics saying it's about Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah,
Everybody has
that's
watched the speaker swear in person after person after person 24 hours after they've been elected. And now all of a sudden, because this is the name when they sign the petition that gets the bill to the floor, the speaker says no. I hope he sleeps well at night. That's all. But we'll get into this. We'll get into this with Congresswoman elect Grijalva.
yes, and also she mentions that she's a woman.
Yeah.
So, there's that. There's that.
Yeah.
We'll talk to her about that. So we're gonna do some headlines live here on Substack and then get to that. You ready to go? You
I'm
want to
ready.
talk?
I'm born with a Green Bay Packers hat on ready.
It's so hard to even look at you right now, but I'm used to that feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, so NBC News is reporting that the Trump administration is seriously discussing invoking the Insurrection Act. So this is a law. It's rarely used. It goes back to the 19th century, and it basically gives the president power to deploy troops, active duty troops, into our cities, into our states, basically militarizing the cities. And of course, this comes after we've seen National Guard troops deployed in blue cities across the country already. We're seeing it happen right now in Portland. And it also comes as we're seeing ICE ramp up its aggressive tactics, including this horrific scene in Chicago over the weekend in which agents actually repelled from Black Hawk helicopters, busted down doors in the middle of the night, pulled children from their parents, and even zip tied children together.
Yeah, probably a fair number of them were U.S. citizens with no due process whatsoever. And this is how you make America great again? I don't think so. This is how you have a dictatorship, an authoritarian government. That's what you have here. And he should read about what the Insurrection Act was meant for, because to use it as liberally as the president wants to use it is a huge mistake and sets a precedent that, quite frankly, is not good for the country at all. And so it goes beyond what the president wants to do. It goes for future administrations, if we have it, future administrations. And it's a big problem. It's a huge problem. It no longer is about working with state governments. It's no longer about listening to people. It's about dictating political power and doing whatever the hell you want with a Congress that's asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, and I should correct myself because I said we're seeing them in Portland. I meant to say Chicago, but they're trying to send National Guard into Portland.
Yeah.
And I mean, the president has said that it's a war zone. And then today he held a roundtable at the White House to talk about Antifa and how that's been designated a domestic terrorist organization. Here's the thing though, Antifa is not this organized national group. It's a philosophy. You can be Antifa aligned, anti-fascist. But the question I have about this is that they're saying that these protesters are Antifa, and if they are declaring the protesters um, part of a domestic terrorist organization, what kind of groundwork are we going to see here as far as just labeling any protester a terrorist
Yeah, it's
for
called
holding a sign?
freedom of speech. It's a pain in the ass if you're an elected official, but it's absolutely necessary for democracy. Look, they're trouncing all over the Constitution, and look, I get it. There's people that have wanted to do that through history, but we've never had a Congress that is complicit with this crap. And we've got a Congress now that just sits back and goes, yeah, whatever the hell he wants to do, because we don't believe in Article number 1 of the Constitution, the legislative branch. We're just going to let the president do whatever he wants. And it's criminal, quite frankly. And I hope the folks that are allowing this to go on, I hope they never have an opportunity to serve in public office again. Quite frankly, they need to do their jobs, period.
We need to, I keep saying this, we need to change this podcast title to Do Your Job. Do Your
Yeah,
Job with John Tester.
do your job with John Tester and Marisa Giorgio. And we
The,
can talk
the
about
Green Bay, the Green
Vikings
Bay.
in Green Bay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have to talk about what happened today, just across the river here in Virginia, because James Comey was arraigned, former FBI Director James Comey.
That go? You were on the news today. How did that go?
Well, he pleaded not guilty. It was about a half hour. There were people there, lots of people, friends of the show here were there, went out. I'm pretty sure Jim Acosta was there, and Olivia Troy was there, Miles Taylor was there, lots of media there. And basically, he is, pleading not guilty. He said so much that he's innocent and he didn't do anything. The prosecutors are accusing him of lying in congressional testimony going back to 2020. And they're accusing him of lying about basically authorizing leaks to the press. So, he says he's innocent, and I think his legal team is pursuing, a weaponization of the Justice Department as a defense here. We saw the president post on Truth Social that weird posts that seemed to be directed at Attorney General Pam Bondi about going after people like Comey. So, in the same day today, he went on Truth Social again, and he called for an investigation into your former colleague, Senator Richard Blumenthal. And there was this whole, I mean, it wasn't just Senator Blumenthal yesterday. A lot of senators had some pretty spicy exchanges with AG Pam Bondi in that Senate hearing. And so now the president is calling for him to be investigated because of this allegation that he lied about his military service. And it was something that he cleared up a long time ago. Basically, he said he served during the Vietnam War, but at one point said in Vietnam. He wasn't actually in Vietnam. It's something that happened, but he said it's been cleared up. But now Trump's calling for him to be investigated. So on the same day that we see James Comey arraigned.
Yeah, well, I can tell you one thing. Donald Trump wasn't close to the Vietnam War because he had bone spears in his feet, remember? And so why would you put up with people? I mean, he called people who were prisoners of war losers. When you can make up your own facts to serve your own needs, see January 6th, see the election in 2020, see the election in 2016, then you can do anything you want, I guess. Supreme Court told him that he was above the law, so he's utilizing that to the full extent.
Did you see any of the hearings with Attorney General Pam Bondi?
I did not.
So
All right,
there was
I heard that she made some accusations that weren't true, but that shouldn't surprise anybody. The truth has
here's
never been a strong suit of these folks.
here's what she said to another friend of the show, Senator Dick Durbin. Senator Durbin asked her about basically sending troops into Chicago, and
Yeah.
she said, "I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump." Basically, we're going to go do your job because you've shut the government down and they need our help, is what she said.
No, 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 no. The Democrats did not shut the government down.
Well, that
Republicans
I'm saying
Republicans
that's what
control the
she.
House. I just want to make this clear. Republicans control the House of Representatives, the United States Senate, and the president's office. They control it. They have the votes to pass anything they want if they're willing to negotiate, but they're not. It's my way or the highway with these guys on everything. Take a look at the tariffs. The president's applying them. They shouldn't even be applied by the president. It's a Congress's job, but Congress is snoozing again. But that's okay. No, it's not okay. It's causing rural America to dry up and blow away. Now, look, these guys don't have a goddamn clue about what they're doing, so they make up their facts. And that's a fact.
I wasn't saying that from my mouth. That's what she said in this hearing.
Well,
This
I always want to go after the messenger, okay, not the person who said it. So
Speaking of tariffs in rural America, we're going to publish something that you wrote a little bit later on our Substack about what you're seeing in rural America, specifically on family farms. Easy for me to say. I mean, there are so many more things that we could. Oh, let's talk about this one. Day 8. We're in day 8 of the federal government shutdown. Speaking of, oh, you can't even do it. More days than you have fingers.
that's one. Okay.
Plus one. Speaking of the shutdown. Um, so here's something that came out yesterday. Axios obtained this memo from the Office of Management and Budget. This is run by Project 2025 author Russ Vogt. And it's basically saying that these federal workers who are furloughed right now or working without pay because they're essential workers might not be eligible for back pay. They might not get paid at all.
That's just a marvelous message. I flew the last few days since the shutdown, and what do you think the TSA workers would do if they thought that? Huh?
Well, this is the
This
thought
is
that went through my head. Yes, like if
what
they're
about the traffic
working.
controllers? What about what about all the folks out there that are keeping our food safe? What about there's a ton of things out there. Well, RFK the third's trying to peddle bullshit, literally. There's people out there that are actually doing a job trying to keep society from getting sick. But you know, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. Go ahead, Maritza.
No, you're fine. It was shocking to me too when I heard this because we have 750,000 federal workers that are out of work right now. And basically this is a pressure tactic, right? They're trying to say, well, if the Democrats come to the table and vote for this continuing resolution to reopen the government without getting their demands met, go ahead.
Well, it's pretty easily solved. I was on a show with John Kasich last week. I think it was a week ago today. And if the Republicans would just say, you know what, we will make it so that health insurance isn't do what MTG wants. Put the subsidies back in and open the government up. It's
Oh,
pretty easy. But
we didn't even talk about MTG. That's a
we
good
didn't.
headline.
We didn't. But the truth is what these guys want is to drive poor people poorer. to drive middle class into being poor and give tax breaks to the uber rich so that we have a real class war in this country. It's bullshit. It's total bullshit. And people need to understand that what's going on right now that's coming out of the White House because Congress isn't there is not good for democracy and it's not good for the future of this country. And it absolutely is not making America great again.
So let me get to MTG because this is interesting and there is some movement on that today. But yes, so basically they're saying that maybe these workers aren't going to get back pay after in 2019 after the last
They've
shutdown.
always gotten back pay.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, but they signed a law. They signed a law guaranteeing back pay. In situations like these, President Trump signed that law. So now they're talking about it. Speaker Johnson tried to walk it back today. Meanwhile, we have Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's broken with the Republicans on the Epstein stuff, at least the White House, not Republicans. She's broken with the White House on the Epstein stuff, saying it's time to release the files. And now she's basically calling on them to address the healthcare stuff. She's been a sharp critic of Obamacare, of course. She doesn't like the ACA. However, she's also talking about how they need to do something so these insurance costs don't go up. And she is calling on Speaker Johnson to bring the House back right now. And then she railed on them for how they're handling healthcare. That's interesting to me.
It's also interesting that you'd say that the Republicans aren't for releasing the Epstein files, when in fact, if Republicans would vote, they wouldn't need the lady from Arizona's vote. Then the files and the bill would go to
Mm.
the floor. But the majority of the Republicans, the vast majority of the Republicans, there's a few that aren't in this vote, Massey and others, but the vast majority are right with the president on the Epstein files. They believe the deep state should be able to hold back information. And that's not what they ran on.
Yeah, we're gonna get more into the Epstein files here in our conversation this episode with Congresswoman-elect Grijalva. There's just a lot here, folks. There is a lot going on. Like I said, I'm in DC, and it's strange. It's just kind of a strange feeling. There are National Guard troops just walking around, and with the shutdown too happening, it's just odd.
And there's no opportunity for negotiation on behalf of the House because the House isn't in, because they're afraid that they're going to have to swear somebody in that represents a ton of people in a U.S. congressional district that will make them vote on the Epstein files release. Is this quite stupid or what? And as far as the budget goes in the shutdown, don't think for a minute that just an extension for 45 days of the previous year's budget is a win. It puts our military at a disadvantage. It puts our business community at a disadvantage. It puts the country at a disadvantage. They should have been working on a long-term funding deal called the appropriations process since they got into office and before. But no, that's not what they want to do. They want to point fingers. They want to threaten people. They want to tell people they're not going to get paid. They want to do all this bullshit out there, inserting fear and division. And that's a problem. I'm telling you, it's a problem. And people need to start standing up and they need to start barking a little louder.
Um, Oh, the people who are not live with us are missing out. We want to welcome now to Grounded Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. So I'm still calling you Representative-elect because you haven't been sworn in yet, even though you won your election more than 2 weeks ago. So tell our listeners and our viewers why we're still calling you Representative-elect.
Well, Speaker Johnson has not sworn me in, and I was in DC when Representative Walkinshaw was sworn in, like less than 24 hours after his election. And so I was in DC they had a service for members who'd passed in office or members who passed away. So it's beautiful. And I just happened to be there. And then I started doing a little digging. And April 2nd, he swore in two Republican representatives during a pro forma session less than 24 hours after their election. So one could assume, based on the precedent that this speaker has already set out, that in under 24 hours, we're ready to go. And now the rules are all totally different. Initially, we heard, well, we'll wait until we get the final certification results from the Secretary of State in Arizona, which is completely different than what the other 3 members had to deal with. And then when that information got to the speaker's office with the fact that I won by almost 40 points, almost 70% of the vote, there is no dispute who won this race, said, well, we're going to have to wait until Congress is back in session, and then proceeded to cancel the dates, the 29th and 30th of September. Also, we were scheduled for the 7th, and he canceled all of those. And then he made the statement in public saying, hey, but wait, we can, swear her in whenever she wants. So right away, Leader Jeffries calls and says, okay, give us a date. We're ready to go. He said, oh, wait, my position has not changed. Congress has to be in session, and Congress will not be in session until the Senate does their job and pass this, CR. So here we are with, the Senate has already voted, 6 times on this proposal, and the numbers have not budged. So I have no idea. But in the meantime, I can't hire staff. I can't get into my office that already has my name on it, by the way. Yeah, can't do any of those fun things.
Let me ask, I know Senator Tester is going to jump in, but let me just clarify something. You were already here after your election, and you were here. Did you have family here with you?
Yeah, I had my whole
Okay.
family.
So
Yeah.
did you?
Oh, no, but that's okay. That's okay
But
because it was before my election. So
Oh, it was. Okay.
But
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
right. I know. I heard that too, right?
Let me
Yeah.
explain that, because the senators from Arizona, Senator Kelly and Senator Gallego, went to Speaker Johnson's office today. They went to outside the office and they said, hey, what's going on? And Speaker Johnson said, well, the reason we did that before is their families were here. They were already here. Their families were here. Go ahead, Senator.
So I'm not a lawyer. I'm a farmer, but you need to get a hold of a lawyer. Do you have any campaign funds left?
We do have some, and
I assume you're not a multimillionaire, that you're just a regular human being.
I'm a regular working person. Yes.
And I
Unlike
would
John Tester, the multimillionaire.
exactly. Look at me. The only thing that makes me a millionaire is I'm wearing a hat of players who play for get paid millions. But at any rate, what I want
You.
get a hold of them and see if you can if they'll let you use those funds to fly your family out. And
Yeah.
then you need to go to Washington, D.C. And then you need to have whoever it might be, whether it's Kelly or whoever, get a hold of the speaker and say, she's in town with her family. Do you want to swear her in? And
Right.
if it doesn't, have a press conference and talk about how fucking stupid this is and how unfair it is and how you've got an entire congressional district that has no representation. And I can say that because I served with your 2 senators. They have no representation in Washington, D.C. right now.
No, the thing is, we have over 700,000 people here that I don't have office. My dad had offices. Those
Yep.
offices were closed. All the computers wiped, everything taken,
Do any
computer, cell phone.
constituency.
Nobody has a job, right?
So you're just like a Republican congressperson now. You can't do constituency work.
I
Yep.
can't do any constituency work in the middle of a shutdown. It's just, I actually had flight ready for my family. We were going to be there on October 7th, and those were canceled. So we were all ready to go. Coincidentally, it's fall break for my kids, so they wouldn't miss any school. It all worked out. And then I had to cancel. And those are coming out of, I don't have a congressional budget. We don't have a budget.
Yeah, I
So
know. That's when you got to take it out of. That's why you've got to find out if it's legal to take it out of your campaign
I
account.
I think for me, I can fly myself, maybe
Yeah,
campaign staff, but
yeah,
probably not my babies.
yeah. That's probably the truth.
I'm just gonna have to beg people for miles at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly. But I
So
just really think that the fact is these guys get away with stuff all the time that's totally out of the norm. Let me tell you a story. When I first got elected to the United States Senate, Senator Stevens from Alaska was still alive, and he told a story about when he was a freshman senator and somebody was not giving him proper respect, how Mike Mansfield stood up and said, knock this crap off. He's a senator. He deserves the respect. It's the same thing here. Johnson, Speaker Johnson, a Republican, should be fighting hard to get you sworn in. Why? Because You should be in Congress. You were elected by your constituents to be in Congress. It's his job as leader of the Senate not to be so damn partisan on everything that comes down the pipe.
Leader
And
of
so
the House.
this
Leader of
is
the House.
this is the kind of crap, by the way, that's not good for this country. It's the kind of crap that people say, I don't like Democrats, I don't like Republicans. It's just too partisan. This is exactly why. Way, way, way too partisan. I just wish the people who voted for Trump understand who's stirring this drink. And it's not the Democrats, it's the Republicans that are making everything uber partisan. Everything. And they
Yeah.
need to stop.
And the scary precedent that it's setting is that if the person getting sworn in isn't gonna align up with your political,
That's
you know,
right.
ideology, if they're gonna do something that you don't want, then you can just drag your heels and drag this out forever. And I do think that he's giving himself time to maybe try to convince the Republicans that have signed on to this bipartisan discharge petition to change their minds. But it doesn't appear to me like any of the four of them are willing to do that. So
To be
here we
part of
are.
the state like him.
Mm.
So let me ask you, first of all, just a slip of the tongue there, Senator. You said the leader of the Senate. He's the leader of the House. But
Sorry, that is
what?
that's a Freudian slip.
Yeah,
That's a Maritza slip. That's what that is.
that's a Marie. Yeah, that would be like a fake news mistake that you made there.
I'm sorry, I
But
got wound up. Okay, I got wound up.
okay, I do want to ask about this because we kind of teased this in our headlines that we did before you came on. But there is a component to this related to the Jeffrey Epstein files. So can we dig into that? I know you said you're not a conspiracy theorist, but let's talk about why people are looking at you and your race and why you're not being sworn in and bringing up the Epstein files.
Yeah. Well, because it doesn't seem to have anything to do with party. Representative Walkinshaw's a Democrat and was sworn in under 24 hours from his election. And I was very vocal early on about as soon as asked, would I sign the discharge petition? And I said yes. And so much of it has to do with transparency and justice for the victims. But this Epstein file issue was an issue that was brought forward by Republicans. Trump was like, day one, I'm going to I'm going to release the files. Then I think they got a little peek into what was in there and thought, maybe not. Maybe we're not going to do it. And so now Johnson closed down the House in order to avoid a vote on this issue. Then we did the discharge petition. And now we're at this point where I just keep thinking that there's going to be another reason. Eventually, I'm going to get sworn in. Whether my family's there or not is another story, but I will get sworn in. And unfortunately, I believe that there will be another reason, something in committee,
Mm.
some way to try to avoid this coming to the House to make sure that everyone is on record how they voted on this issue. Because
So
it is
let's add,
about justice for the victims, really.
yeah, and they want most of the victims that we're hearing from publicly want this to be moving forward. To add some context, um, like you said, Speaker Johnson adjourned the House early for summer break when this was a whole
Yeah.
thing. Representative Massey was really pushing this. And then, bless you.
Yeah.
He's
It's
under the weather.
Um,
So then Massey put forward, and Representative Khanna, right? They put forward, um, basically what's called the discharge petition. Because correct me if I'm wrong here, both of you, but if the Speaker of the House says, I'm not going to bring this to the floor for a vote, a discharge petition basically overrides that and says, let's bring it to the floor. So they needed 218 votes. They were short. And you pledged during your election that you would be the 218th vote. So that's how Representative-elect Grijalva fits into all of this. And here's the thing. I think you're right, Representative-elect. I think you are right that you will eventually be sworn in. That will eventually happen. Here's where I see it jamming up, though, because once it passes the House, where does it go? United States Senate. And from there, it would have to go to the White House. So I think that there will be a lot more log jams on this, but it is a fascinating piece to this whole puzzle that we're trying to unravel.
It really is. And it's really interesting because when Arizona senators and Johnson sort of had a little discussion outside of his office recently, he was told, he said point blank, this has nothing to do with Epstein. Well, point to what it does have to do with it. Because there's absolutely no reason. If you want to call, say, Adelita's going to get sworn in on this day, she'll be here. I will be there. And what was really most important to me is for transparency for the American people and to actually be able to open up offices and provide constituent services during the middle of a shutdown. I mean, I can't tell you how the emotional roller coaster that I've been on where, my dad passes away and they put this like black kind of tape over his nameplate, super traumatizing. And then they take it off and put on the People's Office of AZ7. I think my dad would have been cool with that, right? And now I go up the stairs just to kind of look at that, and my nameplate is there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So everyone else seems to know I'm coming. It's just Speaker Johnson won't let me get in the door.
Well, I do think that's an important point, though. I mean, you were elected to this office because your dad passed away.
Yeah.
That's heavy. And then to
Yeah.
have this that you're going through and navigating, that's gotta be full of emotion for you.
Oh, it's been a whole roller coaster. Like it really has. And I have been grateful that I have this to sort of occupy me and my family. I think that it's been good. I honestly also think that my dad would get a super kick out of how much stress my election is causing the GOP. I think he would be a little amused by it. Like, look at my kid causing all this trauma. But
Well,
the
you're making a
attention.
splash. People know
Well,
who you
yeah,
are.
but the attention really, um, it should be on the victims of, Epstein and those victims that need voice to what happened to them and the people that are implicated in those files to have the consequences, legal consequences that they deserve. And that is really important. My constituents deserve somebody to be able to speak for them in Congress, and I need to be able to hire staff to be able to do my job. Right now, I'm so grateful for the senators, Kelly and Gallego, who are, if anyone asks me personally, which happens throughout the day for any help, I'm sending them to them or even to my colleagues, Representative Stanton and Ansari, both have offered their help to anybody in CD7, which I'm very grateful for. But respectfully, that job is ours. And I was elected to do it. And Speaker Johnson not doing his job doesn't let me do my job. And that makes me angry.
And there is no doubt this is about Epstein. I mean, the truth is that if this ain't about Epstein, then I guess foreign countries do pay the tariffs and not the consumer. The truth is that's all bullshit, and it is about Epstein. But as I recall, your father, when he was a congressman, really prided himself in constituent services. That's correct, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That even bled over to the Senate. I mean, the truth is that there's a lot of really good folks in the Senate and the House, but not all of them do really good constituent services. And for you to say, I want to help folks who need help, somebody who can't get a passport, I want to be able to help them. Folks who aren't getting their due process, I want to be able to help them. I mean, all this stuff makes perfect sense. And I cannot figure out why a religious guy like Speaker Johnson won't do the right thing. I just I just don't get it. I mean, releasing the Epstein information is the right thing. Swearing you into office is the right thing. And I just don't get it other than, well, we're going to show everybody what bare knuckle politics is all about. And the truth is, they're setting a standard on bare knuckle politics that's not good for this country in the short term or the long term.
Nope. And who hurts are the people that are not getting a check,
100%.
being threatened with being fired. And,
100.
I think that when TSA and the FAA get it together and don't allow we're already canceling flights. Routes are getting canceled all the time. Delays are everywhere. Once we can't get around, I think people will really start to get very angry.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Well, in fact,
earlier, oh, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, in fact, Maritza is in Washington, D.C., and there's some question whether she's going to be able to get a flight out back to Montana.
That's true. That's probably true. My, my son will be very sad if I'm not there to see him this weekend play in the marching band at the University of Montana homecoming parade. So let's hope that doesn't come true.
And
But now
those
you've
are really big deals. I mean, they're
Mm.
so important. They're important for you. It's those events that like fill your soul so you can do the rest of your job because you're like, it's this balance that I need. And the sad part for me is so many people that are not going to have a paycheck and are not going
yeah.
to be able to enjoy their life because they're worried about whether they're going to be able to pay the rent or the mortgage or their kids' tuition. I mean, the struggle is very real for so many.
Yeah, I mean, more than 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That's a lot of people. And yeah,
Yeah, me
I've
too.
been there. I've been there. And I grew up with a single mom and she worked multiple jobs just
Yeah.
to make things happen. And kind of stress, that kind of stress to not know how you're going to pay your bills, to not know how you're going to feed your kids, to not know, what's next and when it will be resolved. That's real stress. But I want to ask you, I'm in DC because I've been filling in at my former employer, Scripps News. And we actually had Representative-elect Grijalva on earlier this afternoon. And I asked you in that interview, kind of made some headlines, I think. A lot of people were really surprised by your answer. I asked you if you've heard any word from Speaker Johnson since you've been elected. And the answer is
No, not one word, not one communication. We sent a letter saying, just give me a date. Give me a date so I can get my family there. I can let people know, or let, have some sort of action of Congress that allows a federal judge to swear me in here at home. I'm okay with any one of those options. The excuses that continue to come up are tired. They're tired. And they're hypocritical because literally this speaker has done something different than he's saying he wants done for me.
Yeah. They're not only tired, they're bullshit.
You can say
that's why
Actually,
podcasts are fun, is
you
that
could,
you
right.
can say stuff like that. Yeah.
you could say it too, but you probably got more class than
Yeah.
I, you know.
I have 3 kids that'll be like, "Mom."
Um, yeah, but I
That's
do
the
think
bullshit,
that
mom.
oh, I'm sorry, Hunter, my son. I'm sorry. I do. But I,
Right.
I do, I do think though that it's wild. It's wild to me that you haven't even received a response, like not even an email or congratulations on your win.
Not
Nothing.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I had an opportunity to speak with Speaker Emeritus, Pelosi and said, she swore in lots of people from both parties, and it should be a celebration for the family and for the community that elected them, regardless of party, and, she said, "This is just I've never seen it. I've never seen this kind of delay without, like, concrete reasons." And so
It's
that's why I said I'm trying not to be a conspiracy theorist on like, it could be this, it could be that. And I remember when I got elected, you started to hear sort of some chatter saying, they're not going to let her swear in because of the Epstein files. I thought, oh, stop. That's not true. And now here we are, 13 days later. I'm like, well, maybe it is because of the Epstein files.
Well, I think that's a fact. I mean, the reason is a word that starts with an EP and ends with a steen. I'm telling you, there's just no doubt about it. There's just no doubt about it.
So what can people do to help you? Like, what can people do if they want to help you?
Great question, Maritza.
Right? We started a petition online, and people have been calling Speaker Johnson. I'm really curious as to how many calls he's getting because I have people messaging me like, "I'm calling every hour on the hour." I'm like, "Okay." And I think that setting up a opportunity, like, my senators did with the camping out in front of his office. People were like, "You should show up and camp out in front of his office." And respectfully, the what is sort of keeping us going here is campaign, like what we're doing here. So some of that is like a help us continue
Mhm.
to have staff until we can get sworn in. I think
So
that
did you know that they were just like a peek behind the curtain. Did you know that the senators were gonna go do that?
no, I didn't know. I didn't know. I literally was texting them going, "Wow, thanks for having my back." I had no idea. I don't know that they fully sort of I think it just they were there and it just sort of happened, but I could be wrong.
I know.
You know,
I would bet money that's the case. I mean, I know Kelly pretty well, and we actually got in a drag race on the streets of Phoenix one day, and it was very, 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 it just kind of happened. And
Wait.
yeah,
Whoa.
yeah,
I don't want
What were you driving?
we were driving Lucids, and they were there with us. And I will tell you that he can say that he beat me, but I won. I might have cheated, but I won. Okay. But the truth is, I can see Kelly walking down the hall going, shit, we ought to go see the speaker. I'm going to go grab Ruben. We're going to go see the speaker. And I will bet you that this thing wasn't thought about for more than 10 minutes. And they had a break in their schedule and they zipped over there and knocked on the door. And
Yeah.
the truth is that what makes this so really, really stupid is it just goes against all the norms that were set up over the last 250 years. It just goes against all the norms. And it's more about I'm a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're bad, I'm good, so I'm going to make sure that you don't get any opportunity to represent your constituents. It's so anti-democratic, so anti-democracy. It just is just flat horrible. And I wish these guys would read the Constitution. For years and years and years, I saw these guys going, "Yeah, the Constitution is a great document, and I believe in the Constitution." And hell, they don't believe in the Constitution. If they did, they'd read it and do what the Constitution tells them to do because it's pretty damn clear.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see so many people that Trump has surrounded himself with really just pledge allegiance to him.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like whatever he says is golden
It's
and
not
everything else is a lie. And I just keep trying to challenge people to say, look, could you imagine President Obama doing any of these things?
can't do it.
I mean, getting a plane, having their own crypto money,
I'll
making
take it
like
a step further. Can you imagine any other Republican president getting away with this?
no. I mean, there literally is a for sale sign to me, like this imaginary for sale sign on the White House lawn saying, if you want to pay for justice, you want your family to get out of jail, make a donation to our campaign, buy some crypto money. If you want to immigrate to this country, buy our golden card of $1 million in it, and you too can be a citizen. Everyone else who's been living here for 20, 30 years and have been following every rule under the book is getting, kidnapped and disappeared from our country. But, people who have the means can get away with whatever. And that is that's so dangerous. It's so dangerous. And I just don't think people appreciate that. And living here where I live, I have Border Patrol driving on my way to and from work all the time. That didn't used to happen. And they're intimidate, like they'll follow right behind my car. And so then I slow down because I'm just like, pull me over. Please pull me over. Because if you're pulling me over, you're not pulling someone else over. But they're looking for people with work trucks, parking outside of the Home Depot, parking outside of our courthouses. I mean, me and my son were getting gas, and this woman was pulled out of her car by two people that had regular clothing, masks, and bulletproof vests out of an unmarked vehicle. It didn't even look like a government vehicle. Like that's happening in real time all the time. So when we see it and can capture it, and it's captured like in Chicago and New York, and you have communities that are saying, get out of our community. We're going to see more and more of that. But it's so scary. It's this whole environment of oppression that many of us, people of color, have felt for a while. But now it's in your face. People are just spewing racist hate as if it's a normal thing. And then you look at Trump, who does that on a regular basis, is asked by people, our country's really divided. What are you going to do to fix it? What are you going to do to bring us together? And he says, That's not my problem. He's creating this horrible mess that we're gonna have to dig out for decades. And it's really scary. And, having served on a school board for 20 years, I'm looking at the devastation to our public school system. I I mean, there's just so many things that are being blown up because to the people that are blowing them up, they never utilized it anyway. And public education is that
Well,
open door of opportunity, right? I am the granddaughter of a bracero, a Mexican citizen who crossed this country for like the promise of a job and a better life, and the daughter of a member of Congress. In one generation, that happened because of public education and a shit ton of hard work. But, for me, it's like that the only reason I'm here is public education. So, but for them, it's not important because they just want a society of the have and the have nots. And they're doing a pretty good job of creating one, that's for sure.
doing a hell of a good job of creating it. I mean, you're taking away healthcare, you're taking away food support, you're taking away heating and cooling support. You're driving farmers out of business with your goddamn tariffs. I mean, and you're raising inflation's gone through the roof. You want to talk about where are all these people during the Biden administration that were pissed off about inflation? You're not hearing a peep out of them, and it's going on, and it's like through the roof.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right, and we should be talking about the Vikings Green Bay game.
Stop it. You stop it. I do have to ask though, because you've had a lot of attention the last couple of weeks for sure. I don't think that's going away. But you mentioned that you are a big Wonder Woman fan and you just learned what?
Oh my gosh, Linda Carter followed me. I cannot I I cannot tell you how obsessed I am with Wonder Woman. Have been since my first pair of Wonder Woman underoos when I was like 4 years old, and my dad bought me 2 bracelets like this. I only wear one most of the time because of my obsession with Wonder Woman. So, I have, like,
Yeah.
everywhere in every office I've ever been to, and she followed me. I'm like, "That's it, I'm done. I've done everything I need to do." Like,
You get any
I
better?
cannot.
I love that story. Senator, do you have anybody like that when you who followed you or reached out that was that moment for you? Like, oh my gosh.
Yes, it's Steve Cybra.
Stop it. That's
No,
his childhood best friend.
let's be honest, Congresswoman. Let's be honest. Uh, Maritza's wearing a Taylor Swift bracelet because Taylor Swift follows her, right?
Oh, that is not true.
Oh my gosh.
I would like Taylor Swift and Mariska Hargitay. Done.
Done. Yep. So for me, that is this moment here. I got to meet Jane
Yeah.
Fonda. Stop. That's it. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm done. And then I said, if I could just like have Linda Carter notice that I'm alive. And then she followed me and I'm like, that's it. That's it. I'm doing
Wow.
it's pretty great. Gavin Newsom like shared something about me and I'm like, wow, okay. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
you are taking up some headlines, my friend.
I wish it
Well,
was for other reasons, but I think bringing more attention to the lack of transparency of this administration is okay.
Buttigieg done anything? Has he done anything?
No.
Yeah,
Ooh,
but
that would be nice.
Why are you just calling him out?
I'm gonna get on him and tell you he needs to.
He's pretty great. Yeah.
We're just gonna start calling people out. What
Right.
about this person?
He
What about them?
get
Let's
on
follow her.
this. They follow her, okay? The more they follow, the better, okay?
Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you think people should be talking about or that they should know about what's happening right now, specifically about you and your race and getting sworn in?
I just think that the sooner that I can get sworn in, hopefully we get closer to the end of this shutdown. My hope is really that Speaker Johnson will realize the mistake. I'm not optimistic on that one, but the fact that we're not there to be able to negotiate is dangerous. To basically say, I've done this budget. It's perfect. You need to accept it or lump it is wrong for the American people.
That's what they've
So
done this whole Congress. That's what they've done this whole Congress.
it really is they have control of the House, the Senate, and the White House and still try to make it like this is the Democrats' fault. I think everyone can see through that.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. And the other thing is the president wanted this shutdown. There's just no doubt about it. He wanted this shutdown. The leadership went in and said, "Hey, if you do this," and he goes, "Geez, you mean insurance premiums are going to go up? Yeah, they're going to go up if we don't do this. Well, we'll take care of that in a few months so we can have the shutdown and
Well,
make."
people are signing up now. They're getting their notices from the exchange now.
That's right,
So
exactly.
we can't push this. We can't kick the can down the
Oh,
road. It has to happen now.
Yep. I keep telling Maritza that, but she keeps arguing with
oh,
me about.
oh boy, we had a little debate over
Don't go down there.
when those tax credits expire. All right, we have kept you for long enough, but we thank you so much, Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. We appreciate your time, and I'm sorry to your kids because she did slip in one swear word. Just one.
That's all right. Congresswoman, I can't wait till you get sworn in because you're going to do great things in the U.S. House of
Thank you.
Representatives, and
Thank you so much. I
you
appreciate
will
it.
follow in the big footsteps of your father, and he
Oh, that means a lot.
that's a pretty good path. But you'll be right there pitching, so that's good.
Thank you.
Let's see. Was there anything I was going to say? Oh yeah, there is one thing I wanted to add. You guys talked about paycheck to paycheck, and I was going
Yeah.
to say, Reese's got a different model: no paycheck to no paycheck. All right.
That's right. No, it's really bad when you're no paycheck to no paycheck.
Right. No paycheck to no paycheck. Really tough to pay the bills, you know? So,
That's good. We already covered your hat, and because you wore that hat, I'm gonna read a viewer comment because
oh my,
I was kind of debating about whether I should read this, but I think since you wore that hat, we're gonna read.
A Minnesota viewer, I'm sure. Well,
I
go
don't.
ahead. Go ahead. I can take
Okay.
it. I've got thick skin.
I have to relish in this moment too because I don't think she's right about me. But she says, "Enjoy your show, especially the contrast between the young, energetic journalist and the rumpled, aging senator."
God, that hurts. You know, that really hurts. You know, it's
Uh,
one thing to be called ancient, to be called rumpled. I mean,
Rumpled.
I don't
I
even,
know.
I don't know if that's a cross between wrinkled and grumpy or what it is.
I like it though. It's a good word. It's a
Is
good
it?
word. And as somebody who I am not young and I don't feel energetic,
Well,
I thought that was pretty
that's the
funny.
other problem. That's the other problem. I make you look young. That's a problem.
Not
That's a
for
problem.
me. That's not a problem for me.
Yeah, it is. Maybe the White House is right about this fake news stuff, you know?
Oh, no. Oh, here we go. Now you're gonna be on Fox News tonight. John Tester calls out the fake news.
Now, I mean, to call me old and you young, I mean, that's fake news. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we're
Well,
both
worse
old.
yet, to call me rumpled, you know?
Oh, rumpled. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna hop off, but we want to thank you for joining us here on Substack. You can also find us on Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube. Shoot us an email. We want to thank you for joining us and our friends at Pearl Jam for letting us use their music, and we'll chat again soon.
Tally ho!